at Sheffield Stadium in the hills just outside the city of Sheffield, well, just about inside the city boundary anyway. For a night of Formula One racing, and the cars are competing in a World Championship qualifying round here tonight at Sheffield. Of course, the stadium also home to several other sports, rugby league, pitch on the centre green, and this track is shared with the Sheffield MHS Tigers Speedway team, and also a dog track here at Sheffield multi-sport stadium. Tonight, the stage given over firmly to the BriSCA Formula One cars. Yellows in view there. John Wright, 128, had a good day at Bellevue over the weekend. This is the first of the Monday night meetings here at Sheffield. It's not a Sunday as the previous ones have been. There's a good group of blues. And at the back, Peter Faulding, local hero, number 33 from Rotherham, just up the road. 212, Frankie Wainman. On the outside of him, Frankie from Silston in West Yorkshire, national points champion. And we see Brian Tuplin at the back of that pack, 155 from Lincoln. In front of him, Nigel Wharton, 422. Looks like Rod Faulding's out there as well in 36. Other red, by the way, is John Toulson, 286. Just one white top at the front of the field, Craig Howarth. And here's number 52, just pulling away as the cars are sent round on the rolling lap here at Sheffield. See Terry Jackson's car. Still got the still using one with the Super Stew motif on the top. There's Malcolm Mitchell. He's got an interesting spoiler as well, of course, with that part Union Jack on top. Les Spencer up into blue for the current grading period. Also then Nigel Hardy and 139 Stuart Smith, 128 John Wright. Just going down past the rostrum. The starter hasn't got into his rostrum yet, so it's going to be a little while, I think, before we see this get underway. Wharton, incidentally, has got a nicely turned out vehicle there. It's a bit different to the one that we've been seeing lately. It's not the one that we've been seeing down at Coventry. I don't know if that's a new one or whether he's brought the spare out of the stable. Starter now in position, putting the headphones in place so he can keep contact with race control. And there goes the aforementioned Malcolm Mitchell, complete with the colourful spoiler. So a good group of reds in this one here at Sheffield. And that is the man who will be leading them off, Craig Howarth, number 52. Waiting for that flag to drop. They're going for a second lap. Well, this is indeed their second rolling lap. Howarth building his speed up. It looks as if the starter might be happy this time. Pouring rain here at Sheffield, I can tell you. And that could affect things. As you know, you get plenty of good racing here at Sheffield, and you get plenty of good crashes. And it could well be that way tonight. There's the flag, though, and the race is underway. Craig Howarth leads them off in 52. Robbie Craig second in 62. Andy Shaw, Terry Jackson, and John Wright are the chasing yellows. Already Stuart Smith there going past Ray Bird, number 46. Plenty of shells flying up from the track here tonight. But there is Howarth out in front. Now, can he hold on to that handicap? It's going to be a difficult night to see where you're going with the mud flying here at the Sheffield Sports Stadium. Second place, Robbie Craig, 62. Third, Terry Jackson. First blue coming through, Stu Smith, 139. Malcolm Mitchell also up there. Les Spencer, Nigel Wharton's leading the Reds. Yellow top getting eclipsed there by the Reds. Mike Shirley at the back of the field in 395. There's the fight for the lead. Robbie Craig in 62, driving through on the inside of Howarth, pushing the white top wide. And Craig is through. Robbie Craig hits the front here in Heat 1. In this meeting, Craig Howarth spins out into the fence. That gives Terry Jackson second place. John Wright slowing down there, going into that bend, letting a few blues through. But there indeed is the race leader, Robbie Craig, number 62. You can see already how the shale's coming off the inside line of the track. Stuart Smith getting into trouble there, going up over the yellow car of Andy Shaw. Also getting involved, looks like Les Spencer, number 98. The Reds coming through there, John Toulson, John Wright getting edged out in 128. Certainly difficult conditions tonight. It's going to sort the men out from the boys here tonight at Oldham for sure. Blue top pulled onto the centre green there. And that's Robbie Craig then coming up to lap the back markers. Then it's Stu Smith, 139. He was shown strongly in the early stages of the race, but he's hit technical trouble and had to pull out onto the rugby pitch. You're not supposed to go inside those markers on the outside of the pitch here at Sheffield. It's Robbie Craig then first. Second, Terry Jackson in 485. Complete with the Superman motif on the top, as I was trying to explain earlier. An ex-Stuart Smith car, hence the Super Stew on the top. Robbie Craig then 62, yellow top first. Second is 485. Third, it looks like Nigel Hardy. That's a back marker, number 98, Les Spencer. I think you'll find, unless he slipped through. Robbie Craig, indeed, in first place. Watson coming up well through the field in 4:22. He's past Ray Bird there. Rod Foley just behind Malcolm Nietzschel, getting herded in by the red. Stuart Smith rejoining the race at the back. And there is the 383 car. We did in fact have two white tops out in this one. That was Dave Johnson, a novice driver. He went to the back of the field. He's had problems piled up on the home straight. So there is Folding coming into the turn, getting the back wheels out nicely. That's Rod Foley up there, Peter Foley behind him. Mike Shirley's still struggling to get back past the Reds. There is the gap between first and second. Robbie Craig in that 62 car. Terry Jackson 485 in second. Third place Nigel Hardy, number 317. Fourth is Nigel Wharton in 422. Then it's the length of a straight, almost half a lap down to the next place car. That's Rod Folding, followed by Mark Nietzschel, John Toulson, Peter Folding, Frankie Wayman. They're all coming into view there. You can see Wayman going through, Mike Shirley just behind him, and Brian Tuplin 155 at the back of that group. There's going to be some action coming up there, I think. Ray Bird, it looks like, has spun out on that turn, causing a momentary chicane. Yellow top up against the tyre on the centre green. Can't quite see his number at the moment. Well, Frankie Wayman's just spun out on the turn. I said there was going to happen, something was going to happen there. There were 6 to 7 cars altogether, and something had to give, and it's the national points champion who indeed has. So we're with the race leader now at the halfway stage of the race. Robbie Craig, number 62. Union Jack flag is out, going past Les Spencer now. Second place, Nigel Hardy. Third place is Nigel Wharton. And Spencer finally got rid of. He was a lap down there, virtually the second lap. So Robbie Craig going wide, and he's got the blue top coming through. Nigel Hardy hits the front. Nigel Wharton taking a trip momentarily onto the infield. So it's Hardy from Wharton, blue with 317 from fourth, from red 422. Third place Robbie Craig, number 62. Well, now can Wharton reel in that lead off Nigel Hardy. Hardy, a former red top, now racing as a blue during the current period. And there indeed is Hardy from Yorkshire. Second place Nigel Wharton. He's from Shenstone in Staffordshire. So Wharton is gradually closing in. It looks like Hardy's going to leave the gap for him. High speed racing around this 390-yard Sheffield Bowl. 317 then from 422. Will that back marker get in the way? Indeed, it looks like he may. Nigel Hardy slowing down. That's giving Wharton the chance to get even closer. One touch on that bumper and both cars could be put into the fence and let Wharton through. Hardy just avoiding it there as the yellow top went into Frankie Wayman's car. That's giving Wharton the chance to get even closer. That bumper is going to be put in very soon. Hardy's going to have to drive the race of his life. It was Andy Shaw's car, in fact, that yellow top that was in the way. John Wright there going past the camera, waiting for the leader now. Yellow top spinning out on the bend. Again, looks like number 46. Another car getting dumped into it, and it was Nigel Wharton. Nigel Hardy's lost the wheel. So that was the first place car losing the wheel, as you can see, really just hanging on to the side of the car. So Nigel Hardy hitting severe problems there. Nigel Wharton recovering in time, I think you'll find, to maintain his position. Indeed, he's into the lead with 1 lap to go. In fact, just half a lap now for Nigel Wharton. Had the fright of his life there as Nigel Hardy went into that wreckage on the turn. And Wharton recovers from the pile-up to win heat number 1 here at Sheffield. 422. Nigel Wharton wins. So Wharton first place. It looks as if second has indeed gone to one of the Foldings. It is indeed Peter Folding, I think, has got second. Third possibly Robbie Craig, and fourth Rod Folding. Brian Tuplin up there as well. Beyond that, I'm not prepared to commit myself, obviously. It's a difficult night here tonight at Sheffield, and I wouldn't like to be a lap scorer, would you? Certainly. With the mud flying, it's not always easy. So Nigel Wharton wins heat number 1, and we'll wait confirmation from race control of the top 6 qualifiers from heat 1 to go through to the final. Yes, there are 24 car finals here at Sheffield, so it's 6 qualifiers from the 3 heats. Well, from each of the 3 heats, and then 6 from the consolation as well. So it's a little bit harder here at Sheffield to get into that final. Well, Nigel Wharton indeed has made it in the 422 car. Not the usual machine we're used to seeing at the moment, without the spoiler on the top. Frankie Wayman having his problems, flat tyre, the least of them, I feel, as he was thrown out into that fence in the midst of that melee. There was something like 5 red tops involved in there, a couple of blues hanging around, and Frankie getting caught on the outside, shoved out into the cables, and there's going to be a bit of work done on that 212 machine before we see him in the consolation. Getting the engine cover off, chance to take a look at the block underneath, and if you haven't seen a Formula 1 engine before, you just see it pass, Frankie. They are massive, as you can see there. Let's now take a look at the official result of heat number 1 in this World Championship qualifying round here at Sheffield. First place, 422, Nigel Wharton. Second place, slipping through at the end, was John Toulson, 286. Third place, Robbie Craig, 62. Fourth, Peter Faulding, 33. Fifth was Rod Faulding, 36. And sixth place, final qualifier out of that lot, 155, Brian Tuplin. Missing out in seventh place, John Wright. Eighth, Mike Shirley, 395. Ninth, Les Spencer, number 98. And 10th was 139, Stuart Smith. Cars out for heat number 2 here at Overton. Looks like we got 3 blues there. One of them is Warren Jackson, 104, back to blue for June. On the inside of him, 357. And 357 is the car of Arthur Gibson, our first time on Cablevision. We'll see him in a moment or two. Robbie Pearce, 175, won the final at Bellevue a couple of days ago. On the outside of him, 199, Mike Close. Shot there of a couple of the yellows. Mal Brown, 34 from Liversedge. His roof disappearing. Number 29, Ian Higgins, on the outside of him, 452, Joe Jopling. Out in front, 459, Chris Paxford down to white for June. On the outside of him, 411, Phil Wheelton. Looks like Chris has got himself a complete new paintwork on the car, or a new car. He's more familiar with his name in huge letters down the side of that bonnet. So Paxford on the inside, Wheelson on the outside. 2 more whites there, Vic Milner, 41, and 370, Jeff Keeling. And indeed, we have 6 whites in this one. Stu Matlock, 83. Another member of the March Bodies team on the outside. I couldn't see his number, but we got 3 of those March Bodied cars at the front. The yellow cars with a white stripe. All part of Dave Tapping's business, March Bodies. Green flag drops and the race is underway. Already 1 car's out into the centre green. Chris Paxford is away in 459. It seems strange, we only had the 1 white top plus the novice in heat 1, and now in heat 2 we got 6 white tops. Well, it all depends on who was ready first. Phil Wheelton hits the front as Chris Paxford hits trouble on the back straight, so it's 411 from 459. In third place it's Vic Milner in number 41. Fourth is Stu Matlock. Fifth is Richard Mason, 202. Interesting to see Richard Mason's down to yellow now from blue. And he's completely repainted the car as a result, I think you'll find. Oh, there, Arthur Gibson going right out into the fence. That's certainly quite a debut on Cablevision for number 357. I don't think we've had Arthur on before. So it's 411 against 459 out in front. Wheelton from Paxford. Oh, yes, there's the name on the other side of the car. Looking back into third place, it's Richard Mason, number 202, but that's a good way behind these 2 warring white tops at the front. Wheelton and Paxford battling it out for first place. Some fine driving here. There down to third place, Rob Pearce. Fourth, Richard Mason. Fifth, Mike Close. Well, Close is coming through well, but Rob Pearce has already made the break in front of him. Dave Tapping out in this one, 412. Keeping an eye on his March Bodies cars. But there indeed is 199, Mike Close going past the white top car, and Paxford having problems there, pulling off onto the centre green. Rob Pearce through in 175 now. Ian Higgins coming through the field. 181, Gary Walker going into the bend, and Dave Mellor not far behind, number 304. And there goes Rob Pearce through past Phil Wheelton, 411, and that is indeed the break for the lead for Rob Pearce. Pearce in front, 175. .175 then first, Robbie Pearce. Looks like Phil Wheelton second, 411. Third place, Mike Close, 199. Well, Phil Wheelton must have lost a lap somewhere, because he was out in front with Chris Paxford when Paxford pulled off. But it would appear that he's not in the frame at the moment. There's Rob Pearce, 175, with Mike Close. You can see him in second place in 199. Harry Smith coming up well in number 100. 181, Gary Walker with Mal Brown down behind him. Warren Jackson just behind him again in 104. Looking down the home straight. 175, Rob Pearce, formerly number 281, moved over to the 175 number during the winter. There's Mike Close, number 199. He went well at the weekend as well. He had some success at the meetings over the weekend. He had a Grand National win at Bellevue and a heat and Grand National win at Hartlepool, so he's been in fine form in the last couple of days. So close. He's getting ever nearer. There's Richard Mason finding his way through the fence, number 202. Jeff Keeling just going past the camera, followed by Stu Matlock, but there is the leader, Rob Pearce, with Joe Jopling, the back marker, just in front of him. Second place, 199, Mike Close, and it looks like, yes, number 100, Harry Smith, is coming through the field beautifully now. Looks like fourth place for the man from Colne, although 57, Rob Lane, could well have the third in front of him, or might well be a back marker. Certainly a duel in the mud here tonight. Oh, Rob Lane spins out, that makes the question academic. It's Harry Smith third. Chris Paxton's car on the inside, Mason's car on the outside there, the Guardians to that turn. Well, Joe Jopling is blocking Rob Pearce here, and that's going to slow down the Hunkert Leicestershire base driver. Gradually knocking Jopling off the line, almost into Mason's car there. Jopling holding on. Wheel to wheel going out of the bend. It's Rob Pearce in first place, 175. Finally making the break away from that back marker, past Jeff Keeling, 370. Now looking to work his way past Stu Matlock in number 83. And Mike Close getting edged out into the fence by Harry Smith. He's through to second place. Close dropping back now. So number 100, Hurricane Harry, as he's known, in some circles at least, in second place. Third place, Mike Close, 199. Then comes Dave Tapping, 412. 304, Dave Mellor also showing well. And Ian Higgins, number 29. Another car out there in the fence alongside Richard Mason's car. Phil Wheelton slowing down on the outside line, letting the cars coming through. Rob Pearce still holding down that first place. Looking good for the win here in Heat 2. Won the final at Bellevue a couple of days ago after Stuart Smith led for 9 of the 20 laps, then drops out with car trouble. And that lets Rob through for the win. He's racing with the former Glyn Percy number of 175. Bought the entire Percy rig during the winter, the coach, transporter, and the rest. It has a 175 number plate. I think that might have influenced Rob going for that 175 number, transferring over from 281. Going into the closing stages of the race now. Just about coming up to the final lap. Harry Smith in second place, number 100. Can he make up the gap? He's got Joe Jopling to get past before he can launch the attack on the leader. There you see Pearce just going out of the frame there. Harry Smith something like 40 yards behind in the final lap now, and I don't think anyone's going to catch Pearce now. Pearce coming in off the bend. He's going to be a comfortable winner of heat number 2 here at Sheffield. Rob Pearce, 175 is first. Second is number 100, Harry Smith. I think you'll find after that it was a fair way down for third. Mike Close was edged out by Harry Smith early on, but it looks as if Mellor indeed did just snatch the third place with Dave Mellor in fourth. So it was a clear run for the Red Tops there in Heat 2. Rob Pearce continuing his recent good form, adding to that final win at Bellevue the other day now with a heat win here at Sheffield. He qualifies for the final along with the 5 cars immediately behind him. We'll have those results on caption as soon as we do in fact receive them from race control. Harry Smith second place in number 100. Third was Mike Close, 199, just coming into view. But the March Bodies cars there in the whites doing well early on, but then Wheelton just got finally edged out by Pearce after he got rid of Paxford, but in the process somehow lost a lap. Looking now at the official results of heat number 2. First was 175, Rob Pearce. Second, Harry Smith in number 100. Third was Mike Close. Fourth, Dave Mellor. Fifth was Dave Tapping in 412. Sixth and final qualifier, Captain Chaos just getting through, number 29, Ian Higgins. Just missing out in 7th place, Mal Brown. Behind him, Warren Jackson, 104. Then 181 behind him, that's Gary Walker in 9th place. And 10th was Joe Jopling, 452. So those are the second batch of 6 at the top end of that chart to go through to the final. That's 175 through to 29 on that list. Qualify for the final here at Sheffield. The cars are on their way now on the rolling lap in heat number 3. We're seeing the final batch of cars in today's meeting here at Sheffield. Good group of yellows there. 190, Len Wolfenden out tonight in the spare Mike Close car. He's been having a few meetings recently after missing the start of the season. Came back on the final weekend of May. Raced over the weekend preparing for the British Drivers' Championship at Northampton. Missed out though in the final reckoning. 260, Dave Beresford is out in this one. Andy Stott's back in this also alongside Bert Finnegan. John Lund on the outside of Dave Beresford, and there indeed is Andy Stott. He also missed the start of the season. Bert Finnegan on the outside of him, number 55. He's certainly been going well in recent weeks. And there we have a shot of the other Reds, 306. No, it's 160 rather, Andy Stott. It does look rather like the McNoden car from a certain angle. Of course, until you see the back of the cab. Completely different angling on the bodywork. Anyway, there are the two white tops at the front. Flag about to be dropped. It's 449 on the inside. That's John Paget. Don't think we've seen John before here on Screen Sport, but he's been left at the start. And it's by number 334, and that's Dave Atkinson. I think we could say the same for Dave. So it's Atkinson away in 334. Paget second, 449. The two whites already getting pretty well caught up by the yellows. The reds going past the picture there, and Wolfen getting somewhat left. John Richards, the novice, at the back. Car number 16. So there we have it, the first three. It's 334 Atkinson from Paget. Third place looks like Les Mitchell, 499. Indeed it is. So already the white tops are getting caught here in Heat 3 at Alderton. Yellow top spun out on the back straight. It is number 19. Number 19, that I'm not too sure about it. No, it might be 59. I'll confirm that when we get a closer view later on. The reason I don't think it's 19 is I don't have a name against the 19, but it is indeed. Try and read his name as he comes round, because he wasn't in the start of season registration list. John Lund going past Andy Stott, or rather just leading off Andy Stott going into the turn. There's the first place car there, 334 Dave Atkinson. Second place, 499 Les Mitchell. Third place now is 449 John Paget. And there's the gap. Oh, he's gone out badly there, 334. And he's caught, what, 3-4 cars there. Well, Paget missed the, or rather Atkinson missed the turn, and look at the havoc he's caused there going into that bend. There we see it from a different angle. Both white tops stranded. Graham Atkinson 248 in the wars as well. Another yellow top parked up on the inside. Dan Clark just coming through beautifully there. Oh, having problems though after the movement. Finnegan with one wheel on the inside line. Behind them, John Lund, 53. 188's piled up into the fence. That's Gary Heath, now up to blue from yellow. And indeed it was 19 that was that yellow top car. We don't have a name for him, unfortunately. Well, there we have it in the front of the race. 203 Dan Clark and Bert Finnegan having a battle with 53 John Lund just behind. The waving yellows are out though for the pile-ups in this race. Well, I was waiting to see when we see the waving yellows here at Sheffield, because every time we come here in the past, virtually every race has been slowed down to the single file. We had a couple of quiet heats. Now the mayhem starts again here at Alderton in Heat 3 of this World Championship qualifying round. Well, indeed, the track is now fairly clear as the cars involved in the pile-up have all pulled out of the way and got back into the single file running. No one allowed to overtake on this. So it's that yellow top driver, Les Mitchell, 499 from the northeast out in front. Mitchell first, Dan Clark second, 203. And Bert Finnegan lies third in car number 55 with John Lund just behind him. And behind Lund, it's Andy Stott, 160. Behind Stott, it's 190 Len Wolfenden. Then comes 182 Mike Cheetham. 73 Rob Cowley, 260 Dave Beresford, 140 John Russell, 136 Dave Taylor. And that's about it with the cars in with a real chance here. Graham Atkinson also in there. 248, not too far behind them. Green flags back down again as the track is clear. The race gets back underway. So it's Les Mitchell, 499, leading them off. There's the gap down to second place, Dan Clark. Third, Bert Finnegan. Then we have Lund, Stott, Wolfenden. And then the yellows with just behind them, 260 Dave Beresford. Looking for the leader to come round again here at Alderton. It's 499, the yellow top car, Les Mitchell. And there he is, the race leader. He's got a fair way down, or a fair amount of lead over Dan Clark. As I say, it's just a problem trying to work out where you're going here tonight as that shell flies up. If you've got some daylight in front of you, you're doing pretty well. So then you can pick where you're going rather than just have to go on instinct. And there's the race for second place, Bert Finnegan trying to prize Dan Clark off the line, and Finnegan having problems keeping the steering going down there into the turn. Wheels over the inside line, but going past Dan Clark there. Number 55, Bert Finnegan through into second. John Lund following through into third. Dan Clark dropped from second to fourth there. And Lund's hit problems. He spun out in the turn, almost caught Len Wolf, and then 190 going past Dan Clark there. So Lund losing out. Andy Stott going past as well in 160. Well, there's Len Wolfenden in the marquee car. Mike Close to second car is reserve motor. And there is the leader, Les Mitchell. He had problems with a back marker, and that's given Bert Finnegan the chance to close in. Finnegan in second place, chasing that yellow top 499 of Les Mitchell. Finnegan having problems keeping the car in a straight line, going down those straights. Third place is 190, Len Wolfen, and then Finnegan's through. Finnegan through into first place, number 55. It's certainly not a night for the faint-hearted here at Overton in the driving rain. And driving crash there as well. John Lund getting caught again. Wolfenden getting taken out onto the centre green by Les Mitchell. Dan Clark goes past in number 203. Dave Beresford's at the back of all that, along with John Russell, 140. Wolfenden hitting serious problems there with that back marker. Dave Beresford going into the turn, trying to get through that field and try and close the gap on Finnegan. John Lund having all kinds of problems in this race, still in front of Andy Stott. Dan Clark also dropping back. There indeed is Beresford 260. There is Finnegan going past 334 Dave Atkinson, the back marker, former leader in this race. 3 yellow tops abandoned on the inside of that turn, but Finnegan from Leek in Staffordshire leads here at Sheffield. So it's the 83 points champion in number 55 first. Len Wolfenden, is he a lap down or has he made it through? I think Wolfenden has fought his way back. No, indeed, confirmed a lap down. Going past Bert Finnegan, though, to try and make up that distance. You never can tell with the Wolf. He may drift out for a while and suddenly you find he's gone through 4 places before you know what's happened. 5-lap marker now being shown as Bert Finnegan goes down into the toe turn here at Sheffield. Finnegan down the back straight in 55. Good way down to the second place car, and that would be John Lund, I think you'll find, in number 53. So looking down through the field, that's the novice 16, John Richards. John Lund there, 53, just on his tail is 160, I think, find, or is it 260? Difficult to see in the rain. There it is, it's 160, Andy Stott. Finnegan having the cut for the inside there to go past that yellow top. Wolfenden, a lap down. If Finnegan can come through and get him, he's going into the final lap now here at Sheffield. Yes, the 1-lap marker out. I think I may have called that 5-lap marker wrong. There is the second and third place race. John Lund and Andy Stott battling it out in the 53 and 160 cars. Andy trying to get the bumper into, edge through into second place. Lund's been having all kinds of problems here tonight. He might get into even more here if Stott can get through. Finnegan in the meantime has won it, but that was an interesting one for second place. Just holding on, 53 John Lund. Third place Andy Stott, number 160. So it's 55 from 53, 160 in third. Again, red tops in the first 3 places in heat number 3. A good win for Bert Finnegan, keeping his head when all about him were losing theirs. It's often said that Bert is the last person to put the bumper in. He tends to look for the gap and go through without getting too physical. But you might say that safety first there got Finnegan that win. Second place went to John Lund, but Len Wolfenden a fair way down the field after almost getting lapped by Finnegan, and the clouds of steam come off the engine as it cools down after the race. John Lund pulling up alongside the second place in heat 3. So those are the 3 heats completed. Next coming up, of course, is the consolation race, where those cars that have been eliminated, and there's quite a few as you can imagine, with only 6 going through from each heat, battle it out for the last 6 places in the final. 18 places decided, and I'll be giving you the list of the final 6 out of the 3 heats to qualify for the final just prior to that consolation race. Results now for heat 3 in this World Championship qualifying round at Sheffield. First, Bert Finnegan in 55. Second, number 53 John Lund. Third place Andy Stott, 160. Fourth, Dan Clark, 203. Fifth was Mike Cheatham in 182. And 6th place was 260 Dave Beresford. Just missing out on the placings, 140 John Russell, 334 Dave Atkinson, 265 Rob Bransell. That's as far as we can take it. Those 9 places in the Heat 3 here at Sheffield. The top 6 qualifying, that's 55 through to 260. It's going to be a pretty well all red top final at this rate. Wonder what will happen in the consolation. And indeed, the cars are out for the consolation here at Sheffield. And that really is often the knell, or you could say the cue for chaos here at Overton. No, Higgins isn't out in this one. But we do have a couple of star drivers out. 190, Joe Joplin. Oh, 190 rather. The car looks so similar to Joplin's. 190, Len Wolfenden. Got it there eventually. 212, Frankie Wayman on the outside of him. And you can see the rain is still pouring down here at Sheffield, creating very difficult conditions. I don't think it's stopped ever since the meeting started. Up to about half an hour before the start here, it was pretty dry, but then suddenly the heavens opened and they haven't stopped since. And there indeed is Joe Joplin. You can see the similarity. It's the same paint job, even though the car isn't quite the same. More than a touch of Frankie Wayman, I think, about that 452 car, judging by the air intake on the top of the bonnet. At the front, 52, Craig Howarth. 83, Stu Matlock on the inside. Stu, yet another of those Leicestershire-based drivers. He's from Shepstead. Don't know about Howarth's location, number 52. So the cars build up the speed as the starter waits to show the green. He wants to be sure that they're all right. Yes, the green flag drops. The race is underway. Consolation race here at Sheffield. Top 6 qualifying for that final. Second bite of the cherry for these drivers. John Wright going through 128. Always easy to spot with that huge spoiler. 181, Gary Walker. 59, Nigel Watson on the bit on the side of that lot. There's Malcolm Mitchell going through. 322, Rob Cowley heading for the infield briefly. There's a blue top Stuart Smith piled up into the fence. There we have the first two. Stu Matlock slipping away now from number 52, Craig Howarth. Looking down for third place, there he is, Vic Milner. Fourth is Phil Wheelton. Fifth, looks like could be Jeff Keeling. Oh, Milner spins out on the turn. No, it was 128, John Wright just behind. 347, Andy Shaw going via the centre green. Mal Brown in the front of 3 yellow tops behind him. There's Wolfenden coming through the field with Frankie Wayman in the hot pursuit in 212. 181, Gary Walker just being overtaken by the pair of them. Rob Cowley slowing down to a crawl on the back straight. And Richard Mason and Terry Jackson having their problems. The front of each car locked together, eventually separate, and they can get back into the race. Of course, Jackson's got to find him how he can get that car back round again, or they go back onto the pitch. They're not supposed to go inside that red and white cord, and they're also not supposed to knock down the advertising hoardings. Anyway, Terry Jackson reversing back just in time. Warren Jackson coming through well in 104, going past Jeff Keeling there. Len Wolfenden 190, Frankie Wayman 212, Gary Walker 181, Rob Lane 57, just behind them, the yellow top car. And indeed, Terry Jackson's given up the fight on the inside. Walker just cutting the corner there in 181. Wayman's been left a bit by Wolfenden now. Both looking for a top 6 placing to keep their hopes alive in this World Championship qualifying meeting. And there is Arthur Gibson, 357, going through the field beautifully past Stu Matlock. And Gibson past Matlock now in 83, 128, John Wright putting the bumper in on that 83 car. Just behind him, Phil Wheelton, 411, and 52, Craig Howarth. Well, Wolfenden now trying to get past Warren Jackson, and indeed he does. Jackson going out wide, Wolfenden straight through. Looking now to put the bumper in on Vic Milner. And indeed, there it goes. Very slow, deliberate edging off the line there by Wolfenden. Gaining another place, coming close now to qualification for the final. There's Chandler just going past, 213. There's Wolfenden hot on his tail now. Joe Joplin is just pulled off from the centre. You can just see behind that lamp standard. There is Chandler in 213. So Wolfenden and Chandler having their battle down the field. Chandler and Wolfenden there. In the meantime, it's 357 who's out in front. Arthur Gibson, there we see it, with John Wright on the inside, 128. He's in second place. Gibson going straight into the turn, and 128, John Wright straight through. So Wright into the lead in 128. Stu Smith and Richard Mason locking together going into that turn. Wayman coming through the field. He's now looking to get past Warren Jackson. Wolford has already got the drop though on Wayman, something like 2 cars ahead of him. There's Wayman going into the turn. Stu Smith 139 still having his problems coming off the pit gate there into the traffic. And Wayman tailing Jackson, just puts the side of the bumper in on the 104 car. Jackson holding on to the line pretty well around the turn, moved up to red during May, but he's back in blue for June, and that was the cue to put the spoiler back on. I don't think he had that repainted. Jeff Keeling going out wide 370, just a spectator now. And Wayman still trying to find a way past Warren Jackson. John Wright's out there though in first place, 128, going down the back straight there. Wright with that very prominent advert for the Long Eaton Bike Shop, and almost, yes indeed, finding Les Spencer, so that's taking the leader out. He's getting back onto the track though, protects first place. Good job he had a good lead there with Les Spencer slewing across the circuit in front of him. So that's Wright. It's still Arthur Gibson, it looks like, in second place, 357. And so Wright coming around the turn. That looks like Mason's car abandoned on the inside. Wright indeed pulling out of the race, taking the streamer with him. That gives Arthur Gibson back the lead, 357. I wonder what went wrong with Wright's car pulling off with great haste there while out in front. Something must have been pretty bad for John Wright. Well, there's Les Spencer, the man that got in his way. Arthur Gibson out in front, and it looks as if Gibson may well get a win on the first time we've caught up with him here on Screen Sport. Coming into the closing stages of the race now, the 3-lap marker going out for Arthur Gibson in 357. So the blue top driver is first. Len Wolfenden looks like he's second. Mayhem on that turn, trying to get around that yellow top car. And there's Wayman trying to get past Craig Howarth. He's got Mike Shirley right behind him, 395. Rob Cowley also in there, number 73. Looks like Wayman might be safe for a place, but he's going to get past these back markers to protect himself, because that bumper could easily come in from behind. There's first and second. It's Arthur Gibson from Len Wolfenden. So the Wolf up into second in the borrowed 190 car, borrowed from Mike Close 199. Jeff Keeling, a spectator there as 190 goes through. Wolfenden semi-retired these days, but racing fairly frequently now as we go into high summer. Wolfenden something like 3 car lengths behind that leader, Arthur Gibson. 1.5 laps to go. Oh no, indeed, this is the final lap. I think you'll find, yes, the checkered flag comes out, and Wolfenden's found the gap. On the final turn, Len Wolfenden wins. Wolfenden just found it right at the right moment, didn't even really need to use the bumper there. Second place, 357, Arthur Gibson. So it's the Wolf that gets the win in the consolation race here at Sheffield, qualifies comfortably for the final, where he'll be renewing acquaintance with some of those superstar drivers. And I think if he and Harry Smith were to really get stuck in today, we could have some marvellous action, because when the Wolf retired, they said Harry Smith would be the pretender to the Wolf's crown of the bustling man coming from the back. But 128, John Wright unlucky there, had the lead, had to pull out of the race though. I wonder what went wrong with that car. Arthur Gibson though slotting in for second place in the consolation race behind Len Wolfenden, just drifted out wide on the final turn and let the more experienced man through, Wolfenden. So a good win for Len Wolfenden in 190. It's not too often we get a win from the Wolf here on Screen Sport, obviously. We don't see him too often now. I think it's only about the second time we've caught him this year, but Wolfenden hasn't even got his name on the outside of the car. Now it shows Mike Close on the other side, but that way it's quite straight. Len Wolfenden on the side of that cab. So Len Wolfenden, the winner of the consolation, he goes through to the final. Results now of the consolation race. First place was Len Wolfenden, indeed, at 190, but no Arthur Gibson in second place. He was marked down as being a lap behind after extensive checking of the lap charts. Second place then went to Warren Jackson, 104. Third place, Frankie Wayman, 212. Fourth was number 52, and that was Craig Howarth. Then came 57, Rob Lane, and the final qualifier making up the 24-car field for the final, 181, Gary Walker. Just missing out on placings, 140, John Russell. That's his second 7th place of the night. That'll be a frustrating time for him. 8th place was number 83, Stuart Matlock. 9th was Mike Shirley, and 10th was number 357, Arthur Gibson. Moved down to 10th place after checking. And indeed, Arthur came out for the final and is being sent back into the pits. I don't think he realised he'd been marked down to 10th place. Came out as a qualifier, but they spotted it. We now come to the grand final here at Sheffield, the World Championship qualifying round. Ian Higgins out in this one, number 29, and I do get the indication that Mr. Higgins might be in for a chance to live up to that name. Yes, giving the signal to our cameraman down there. I think you might be getting a bit of action from 29 in this one. There are the top drivers. 100 Harry Smith, on the outside of him 422 Nigel Wharton. Then we have Mike Close 199, 203 Dan Clark. These the star drivers. Of course, the Reds split into two groups. You have the stars and the superstars. Ian Higgins 29, Dave Mellor 304, John Toulson 286, Rod Faulding 36. Waiting for the green flag to be shown. Superstars in this one, by the way, are Andy Stott, John Land, Peter Faulding, Dave Beresford, Frankie Wainman, Bert Finnegan, and Len Wolfenden is right at the back of the field. At the front, though, the solitary white top, number 52, Craig Howarth. Howarth qualifying in 4th place in that consolation, the only white to make it through to the final. And looks like we've got 4 yellows behind, then we have 2 blues, and then a huge pack of reds. So it's Howarth who'll lead them off, and indeed the green flag drops. Howarth leads off. It's Robbie Craig second, number 62. 3rd place Rob Lane, and the other yellow getting edged out, look like Mike Cheatham getting edged out. Reds heading for the centre green. Now how are those whites and yellows going to hold these men out? Mike Close just behind Dave Mellor going into the turn there, and there's Robbie Craig edging out Craig Howarth. Craig knows he's got to get that foot down, get away from those Reds as quickly as possible. Well, there's John Lund going past Ian Higgins. Dave Mellor going onto the inside. And Mike Close there, and there's Rod Faulding, Dave Mellor just behind him. And Ian Higgins into the fence. And just in front of him, Brian Tuplin also found that. Mike Cheatham finding the 29 car. So while Higgins tries to get himself out of that predicament, the race continues. Wolfenden looking to put the bumper in on Wainman. Howarth still holding off the rest of the yellows in 2nd place. Rob Lane in 3rd in 57. 4th we have, it looks like 412, Dave Tapping just behind. You can just see the red bonnet. Confirm that as they come down the straight. It is Tapping, then comes Harry Smith, Brian Tuplin, Warren Jackson, Nigel Wharton, Rob Pearce, Dan Clark, Mike Close, Rod Faulding, Dave Mellor, John Land, John Toulson. That's about it at the moment. There's a few obviously behind there. Rob Lane moving on Howarth. Howarth driving a good race here, holding on to his line, but Harry Smith is coming through, pushing Dave Tapping wide, and Howarth finally gives way to the incessant pressure from behind. Rob Lane through into 2nd, Harry Smith is 3rd. Well, while all this goes on, the leader is a good way clear. Robbie Craig, he's something like, well, half a lap in front, Robbie Craig. 2nd place, Harry Smith, or rather Rob Lane, 57. And there is Robbie Craig. Now after Robbie Craig, there's a long gap down. Then you come to Ian Higgins, who is in fact being overhauled by the field. So there goes Craig. Look at the lead that Craig has got all the way down to 2nd place. Number 100, Harry Smith. Smith 2nd, 3rd is Lane, 4th is Tuplin. And then 5th we have Nigel Wharton or John Toulson. Can't see in the distance. Pile up on the turn. Dave Tapping in there, 412. Mike Cheatham close up in 182. There's a red top in there somewhere. Tuplin going out wide as that other red comes through on the inside of him. And that will be into 3rd place, I think, for Nigel Wharton, or 4th indeed, 422. 5th, Rob Pearce. Behind Pearce is Tuplin, then comes Mike Close, Dan Clark. Mellor not too far behind, Toulson beginning to be dropped. And red top parked up on the inside, and that looks like Rod Faulding, number 36. Rod, of course, father of superstar 33, Pete Faulding. Oh, Rob Pearce getting well involved there with Nigel Wharton, the two locking together going to the turn. Sparks fly. Brian Tuplin doesn't know where to go there to get out of the way. 155. Well, they're trying to free themselves, because if they can, they'll protect their positions. But Robbie Craig's car just trying to mount Nigel Wharton's. Well, it saves on rubber, doesn't it? Eventually, the pair of them end up where I think it was inevitable they would, up on the centre green, through the advertising hoardings almost. Wharton trying to get back in, but he reverses back. I think he realises there's no chance. We're getting into the closing stages, though, of the World Championship qualifying rounds, not just this one here at Sheffield, but overall. And the points are getting rather desperate. because of course every point gained in the qualifying rounds gives you a better place on the grid for the semi-finals. It doesn't go in great colours in that, it's just how many points you score gives you the best position. So the guys with the best points tallies get pole position in the semis, and of course virtually a passport into the final. Robbie Craig out for the major points here, going past Gary Walker, number 181. Craig looking good for the win here in the final. He's got the third place already from Heat 1. I think it's the case. Craig really put the foot down to get well away. He's something like a quarter of a lap to a third up on Harry Smith. So there goes Craig down into the turn. Clear space either side. Gary Walker's pulled out in 181. Dave Mellor confirmed as second now in 304. So there is the race leader down the back straight. And Rob Lane's pile up on the turn. Warren Jackson coming through, 104. There's the race leader, Robbie Craig. There's second place, Dave Mellor. We've not seen too much from that 304 car this year. Indeed, on points, he's down amongst the blues, but retains red due to lack of meetings. And indeed, Mellor is confirmed as a lap behind. So second is Harry Smith, which gives Robbie Craig an even bigger lead than we thought. So let's have a look at it. There's Craig, Mellor a lap down, and there is second place, Harry Smith. Third could be Brian Sutton. I don't think he lost a lap earlier on. Quite close up there, 199. Dave Beresford breaking through. John Toulson, Peter Fowling just behind him. I don't think we're going to get the challenge from Wainman and Wolfenden in this one. Beresford, I think that you'll find as the top superstar driver in this race at the moment. Well, there's Craig going past Warren Jackson. Comfortably down the back straight, having no problems going past the back markers. Robbie Craig into the turn. Rob Lane's car's been getting a battering there. Dave Mellor now closing it in to about 30 yards on Robbie Craig, going past the blue top car if he can get past quick. Of course, Mellor a lap down. He's trying to make up the gap. That's the second, Harry Smith, number 100. Dave Mellor, the proverbial red herring here in the final at Sheffield. And Mellor indeed locking up with Warren Jackson, going into the back of Dan Clark's car, number 203. Harry Smith through in 100. Third place could well be Brian Sutton. Mike Close just behind him, and behind Close we have Dave Beresford, Peter Fowling, Bert Finnegan, Len Wolfenden, Frankie Wainman. Then it's a long, long way down to the next car, John Toulson, and behind him Warren Jackson, and then we come back to the leader, 62, Robbie Craig. So there's the race down the order. Bert Finnegan just behind the Peter Fowling car, and there is Wolfenden, 190. Plenty of smoke coming out the back of that car. Frankie Wainman following in behind. Checkered flag is ready now for number 62, Robbie Craig, coming in for the win here at Sheffield in the World Championship qualifying round. That was the gap. Harry Smith in second place. So it's 62 from 100 in the grand final here at Sheffield. I think Robbie Craig last caught the eye when he was involved in that set to Stuart Smith at Coventry a while back, when Smith tried to ram him out of existence. But Robbie Craig earning the headlines for the right reasons possibly here tonight with the win in the final of the World Championship qualifying round here at Sheffield. Second place goes to Harry Smith in number 100. It looks like it was either Tupman or Close for third place. I don't know, I think the Lincoln have lost a lap somewhere, but if not, he got the third with Close in fourth. We await the official verdict on the final here at Sheffield, and the tyre's been lost off that car. It's Wolfenden's car indeed, so he did well to complete the course with a flat tyre would appear on the inside of the car. So Robbie Craig comes in for the victory, number 62, getting the win here at Sheffield. So a yellow top wins the main honours of the night here at Overton, and that's the third place in his first drive in Heat 1 and a win in the final, so that's a good performance from Robbie Craig here tonight at Sheffield. Well, Robbie, congratulations on the win in the final. Not a bad night, is it? A win in the final and third in your heat?
No, it's about time it come right for me, I think. We've struggled all season. It makes a change to come good, and especially on a qualifying round.
So how will that affect you now? Because we're going into the closing stages of the qualifiers, aren't we?
I should think I'll qualify for the semis now.
So you were just about out of the grids, were you?
Yeah.
So it's still a fair way to go, though, in the World Championship, coming to the back of the grid, isn't it?
Yes, but as long as I get there, I'm not bothered.
That's right, it's better to be in it. You can only win it if you're in it, can't you?
Yes.
How about things generally at the moment? Has this been a bit of a one-off tonight, or have you been going well in the last couple?
No, we've been been going well for quite a bit, but we've had some daft things happen. Car, prop shafts break and brake pipes come off and things like that. Car's been generally going pretty well, but just not finishing races.
What about tonight's racing? Because it's been difficult out there, hasn't it?
Yes, but it's not been bad, really. It's been pretty fast. It's not as wet as we thought it would be. Final was faster. It seemed fast to me, anyway. I don't know.
So despite all the rain, the track's holding up pretty well?
Yeah, the track's pretty good.
No problems over visibility? Because we've seen the mud flying up over here.
It's not bad, really. I've known it a lot worse.
What about some of the racing? Anything you can particularly remember as any outstanding moments from tonight?
No, really. It's just a matter of go as fast as you can and keep them all behind you.
Especially with that group. Have you seen who was behind you in the actual top 10 in that final?
Yes, I've seen a lot of them, don't worry.
I mean, I said when you actually hit the front, when you got past the white top, you've got to put your foot down now because there's so many of them behind you. You've got to get the distance, haven't you?
With 17 reds behind you, you've got to go. They don't show no mercy when they catch you.
Well, thanks very much, Robbie. And are you going out in the Grand National?
No, we've got an oil leak on the engine, but it's not much. But it's just enough to... I don't think, to be fair, we stand the chance of catching them anyway in the Grand National.
Oh, well. Anyway, thanks very much, Robbie. And best of luck in the semis.
Right, thank you.
Results now of the Grand Final, the World Championship qualifying round here at Sheffield. First, number 62, Robbie Craig. And look at this array of talent behind the number 62 man. 100, Harry Smith in second. Indeed, third was Mike Close in 199. Fourth was Dave Beresford, 260. Fifth, Peter Faulding. Sixth, Bert Finnegan. Seventh, Len Wolfenden. Eighth, Frankie Wainman. Ninth, Dave Mellor. And 10th, Brian Tuplin. Everyone a red, barring, of course, Frankie Wainman, who's got the silver. Quite an achievement there for Robbie Craig, holding that little lot out. Nationals, so there's no question of the lap handicap. Car starting off straight. We've got a group of whites out for this one, getting a chance in the final drive of the night. Mike Cheatham staying still there while the other cars have moved off. I think he might have a problem. He might get a push start. We'll see the mud's pretty well covered the cars here. Terry Jackson's car having just gone past. There's John Wright, who pulled out while leading his heat. Behind him, Nigel Watson, 59, had a good meeting at Bellevue the other day. And just moving off, Joe Jopling, waiting to see the number to confirm that one. Just behind him, 304, Dave Mellor, looking down to the superstars now. And they are Frankie Wainman. I think I think somewhere underneath the mud there's silver there. Yes, Frankie Wainman, 212. On the outside of him, Pete Faulding, 33. Then 55, Bert Finnegan, 260, Dave Beresford, 160, and he stopped, and we have the white top novice at the back, 383, and 383 is Dave Johnson, just checking up down the list. As you see, the black cross in the back of the car showing his novice status. Well, at the other end of the field, we've got the two white tops on the front row of the grid. 83, Stu Matlock. I think that might even be the second row. Indeed, it is the front row. Stuart Matlock on the inside, and I think it's Jeff Keeling on the outside with Phil Wheelton behind, 411. The flag drops and the race is underway. This is the Grand National qualifying round here at Olerton, Sheffield. A bit of bumping and barging from the yellows as they go down into the turn. Let's see how the blues get through it. Pretty easy stuff, although Bert Finnegan's already moving in. Joe Jopling having pulled out wide. Phil Wheelton hitting problems. Past him goes Craig Howarth and Stu Matlock out in front in number 83. So Matlock leads, second is 334, Dave Atkinson, then 52, Craig Howarth, 411, Phil Wheelton. Then we have the first break in the colour sequence with 485, Terry Jackson. There he is in view, 485, having gone past one of the whites. Problems down in front, Matlock rammed into the fence there, Dave Atkinson on the inside of him. And Matlock couldn't really do much about that, just ended up going straight into the cables. More trouble there, John Wright, 128, 34, Mal Brown, looks like Mike Cheatham as well there. Number 182, so three yellows piling up. The cars coming through on the chicane on the inside. So now, looking for the leader to come back through, and there he is, Stuart Matlock, number 83. 128, John Wright a lap down, Craig Howarth up there, 52, Terry Jackson in third place. Fourth is Des Chandler, fifth Mike Shirley, sixth is Close, seventh Mellor, eighth Wainman, ninth it looks like Rob Pearson, number 175. Indeed, Atkinson, it is who leads, not 83 Stu Matlock, of course. It was Matlock who was pushed into the fence in indeed Atkinson 3-3-4 in first place. Well, Terry Jackson getting taken out there by Des Chandler, but some help from behind by Mike Shirley. John Wright's pulled off onto the infield in 1:28. There's Rob Pearce, 1:75. Got tangled up in his last race, in the final, of course, after winning Heat 2. There is the race leader, number 3-3-4. Something like 30-40 yards down to second place. And close is showing well. Dave Mellor just behind him in 3:04. Should be an intriguing race for that position. Mellor can't quite get on terms, bouncing a little, going down the back straight. And indeed that is the race for second and third, because there's the leader, 3-3-4, Dave Atkinson. Closing in all the time, and through goes Mike Close. Dave Mellor goes with him, so it's going to be a battle between those two. I do seem to remember they were on the front row of the grid at the World Championship semi at Long Eaton last year. Had a fair battle of nerves until Mike Close had a puncture that ruled him out of things. Mellor, of course, won that race to take pole position. Alongside, I think, was Frankie Wayman in the world final. So it's close. From Mellor, it's a matter of inches between the two at most, and Mellor indeed has the inside line, trying to edge his way through. Close, fighting desperately to hold out the man from Ashbourne, halfway stage of this 16-lap Grand National. And third, it's Frankie Wayman, 2-1-2. Fourth, Rob Pearce. Fifth, it looks like Dave Beresford. So the true superstar and star talent in BriSCA Formula 1 shining through here in the Grand National race here at Sheffield. Pearce, fourth place. Fifth, Beresford. Sixth, looked like Finnegan. And Atkinson well dropped now, 3-3-4 behind all that pack. There he is going into the bend. Looking now for the leaders to come down through. Dave Tapping going through one of the back markers. Andy Stott a good way down. Then there's the leader, Mike Close. Dave Mellor second. Wayman third. And Wayman still got a fair bit of work to do to try and get through here. Let's look down his results so far tonight. Wayman had a third place in the consolation and blew out in the final down in 8th place. So he's not had a very high scoring night. He'll be able to compensate for that now in the Grand National. It's close from Mellor with Wayman in third place. As you can see, night falling now here at Ollerton in the Grand National. It's just these three, and the winner will come almost certainly from these three cars. Evenly spaced now, Mike Close, Dave Mellor and Frankie Wayman. It looks like Close's race though. The 4-lap marker is out at the moment. I think that may well switch to 3. Indeed it does for Mike Close. 3 laps to go. He's got Dave Tapping now between him and Dave Mellor. Tapping the blue top 4-1-2 back marker. And it looks as if this is going to settle down now. Mike Close in fact pulling away from Dave Mellor. Dave Atkinson's car piled up in the fence with the red top out there. And Frankie Wayman in third place. In case you're wondering, by the way, what's happened to Stuart Smith and Willie Harrison, fair regulars here at Sheffield. Stuart had problems with the car over the weekend, and Willie Harrison, his car burst into flames at Bellevue. And indeed, Willie's overalls just about caught fire as he got out of the car. Into the final lap, though, here at Sheffield, with the drivers who are here. Mike Close trying to get Andy Stott out of the way. The two Northeasterners clashing here towards the end of the race. Stott won't move off the inside line. Can Mellor close in? Wayman desperately trying for second place, pushing Mellor wide. It's going to be a win for Close. And Wayman and Mellor go across the line virtually side by side. I think Mellor, albeit not in the straight line, just about hung on for second place. Frankie Wayman he just couldn't quite move him off the racing line. Wayman doing his best, but Dave Mellor hanging on for grim death and a second place here tonight at Sheffield, and the car mounting the fence at the end, so he got the action towards the end. Maybe not quite so many pile-ups as we've come to expect almost here at Ollerton in the opening meetings of the season. A very difficult night, but nonetheless some determined driving in this World Championship meeting. The Grand National goes to number 199, Mike Close. That makes a hat-trick, I think you'll find, over the weekend. Yes, at Bellevue 2 days ago, Mike Close won the Grand National. Yesterday, as we record this, at Hartlepool he won the Grand National. Tonight at Sheffield he wins his third Grand National race in 3 days. Quite an achievement, a hat-trick for Mike Close in number 199. Well, as you can imagine, it's a pretty wet night here at Sheffield. And we haven't been able to get as many drivers out between the races as is our normal policy. So what we've done is we've got them all together now over here on the terracing at the end of the meeting for a couple of words about what's happened during tonight's meeting. I start with someone who's catching attention in the Long Eaton area, certainly from huge aerofoil on top of the car, and it's John Wright, who had a problem in his heat when he was leading and then had to pull out. John, what went wrong?
Yeah, I think Richard Mason spun out on the top bend here and just couldn't avoid him. Just clipped him and knocked the axle back and steering went like so.
Well, he was parked right across the track, was he?
Yeah. I should have seen him really, but that's how it goes, you know.
Yeah, it's that 50-50 choice, don't you?
Yeah. Could have gone either side and picked the wrong side, really.
How are things going this year, though, generally?
Terrible, generally. You know, down to yellow top, but it's going all right now. We've got the new car sorted out. Should be all right, next month.
We've seen all kinds of things with the spoiler disappearing, reappearing, the roof colour changing all over the place. There's certainly plenty going on.
Yeah, I should hope to be back up for blue for next month anyway, see how it goes.
Of course, you've got some good backing down at Long Eaton, haven't you?
Yeah, with the bike shop and Dennis Wright haulage, which is my dad. Right, helps us out a lot anyway.
So you're looking forward to things now?
Yeah, I should hope to get well into the blues next month with a racing from the front for another month.
So just summing that up again, when you clipped Richard Mason's car, what exactly was it? Because you just zoomed straight off the track.
Well, the axle came back, it snapped the centre pin in the spring, and it pushed the drop arm onto the chassis. So it was right back, so you got no right-hand lock. As you lock right-hand, obviously the drop arm comes back, but it was right back anyway, so I'd only got left-hand lock, and you need a lot of right-hand lock, as you noticed. Yeah.
So it was just about perfect to get out of the race and get on the centre green with the lock that you had.
Yeah. It took, we're lucky to get ready for the Grand National. We had about 15 minutes to get back together. So.
Well, Mike Closer winning the Grand National tonight. That's 3 in a row now, isn't it?
Yeah, Bellevue, Hartlepool, and here tonight. It's been going really well in the last race.
Of course, that puts you well on the grid now for the Grand National final later.
Yeah, I suppose it will do if I keep winning a few more.
On the other hand, how are things going in the more significant races? Because the Grand National's a bit of a thing for the end of the night, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had a leanish time up to this weekend, but now I've got things really going, I think, and I've finished in top 3 in auto races nearly this weekend, and I think I'm going to go well now.
I see you got the arrangement going with Len Wolfenden again.
Yeah, Len's using my other car, and it's starting to go really well. He should be down to red next month, next grading, so he should get some wins in then.
What goes through your mind if you're prepared to put a clout in to get past him and you think about the car that's out there?
If he's going slower than me, I'll shove him out of the way, and if I'm going slower than him, he'll shift me.
Now, what about your hopes for this year? Now, I hearken back to that World Championship semi-final tonight when you were dicing with Dave Mellor. You obviously had the great disappointment last year of the flat tyre. How are things looking for this year?
Yeah, well, I want to qualify fairly well, because at Aycliffe or Bellevue, you need to be well forward to finish well, and we'll need to finish well up at Bradford for World Final, because if you aren't on the front 2 or 3 rows, you won't have much of a chance at Bradford, I don't think, because it's very fast, and anybody good up front row is going to take a lot of catching.
So really, it's unlike most of the other stock tracks in this country.
Yeah, it's very quick and bad to pass is Bradford, and if you've got a good fast car up front, it'll take a lot of catching.
How is the points tally, though, for the semi-finals?
I've no idea, to be right honest. I know I haven't got so many, so I've been trying hard tonight, and I'll be going to Bradford. There's Bradford qualifier and Northampton qualifier to come yet, so I'll do both of them and try and get a few more.
Which semi-final would you prefer to go for?
I'm not bothered. I go well at both Aycliffe and Bellevue. Aycliffe could be a bit more difficult for parked up cars and things. Bellevue's a bit more open, but I go well at them both, so I'm not bothered.
Thanks very much, Mike. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, I have here what you could virtually call the Frankie Wayman racing team. Frankie himself and Ian Higgins, of course, in a Frankie car. What's the arrangement actually over the cars?
The car belongs to Ian. Ian mechanics it and looks after it. We just transport it for him.
And built as well?
It's built by me originally, yes, with a lot of help from Ian and his dad particularly.
So it's a pretty close connection between the two of you working together during the year, would you say?
Yeah, very close.
You owe a lot to Frankie then, Ian?
Yeah, we do really. The car is absolutely superb. The engine, my dad built up, and without Frankie's support, his facilities, the workshops and everything, we just wouldn't be racing.
Now, Frankie, what happens when, obviously, if you're working together, and he's sitting in front of you, and you're coming from behind, you're desperate for the points, how tempting is it to give him the good shove?
Very tempting. It's just another car. I used to run higher cars, and when one of them were in front of me, if it weren't where it just went, even though it would cost me a lot of money to put it right.
I've heard stories about if you go into Silsden, you can easily spot your place. It's got stock cars here and there and everywhere. I mean, what is the actual state of affairs?
I've very few cars about at the moment. We've sold them all. I think I've only about 3 of my own, Ian's, and we just bought 2 this week, and that's about it. We've cleared everything.
So how are things going with the car?
Until tonight, superb. But tonight we got a bit of a knock and took all the side off it, so it's back up to Frankie's, get some more steel off him and put it all back together.
Yes, we saw a couple of signals coming from the car prior to that race, and we got the indication that maybe, you know, the nickname was going to be lived up to. And what happened? I think the message was that you were supposed to get them, not yourself.
Well, the thing was, Frankie said to me tonight, because I was close to losing the red roof, and if I'd got enough points tonight, I could have kept it. And Frankie says to me, just take it easy, go for a finish. And I listened to him, and look what happened. If I'd have just put my boot down and gone, I'd have probably been all right. But yeah, I just got piled in, and I didn't get a chance to get anybody. So once you're in the fence, you can't hit anybody, can you? Mind you, they all came into me in front of cameras, so they might have got it on film.
Yes, we had 1 or 2 complaints. You've not been on enough lately, anyway. But about the name, there have been letters in the stock car magazines about the name, and we did mention it before, and of course it did capture the attention of 1 or 2 guys on the crew. You feel it's been worthwhile?
It's the best thing we've ever done. I mean, if you get sponsors looking in at a sport or something, somebody who's just going around with nothing on the car, they don't get noticed. You've got something like Captain Chaos, you cause a bit of havoc, you get noticed. I mean, it's like you say, I get mentioned quite a bit on cable television. I've had a few people knocking it and everything. We went up to Hartlepool yesterday, and there's a certain writer up there who writes for one of the magazines. I won't say his name, but he's been having a go at us. So we had a load of stickers all over the side of the car, having a go back at him, and the crowd loved it, and everybody loved it. And that's what you do.
It's all part of the sport, isn't it, Frankie?
Very much so.
So what's coming up on your one? I think we'll stick to Smiler, eh?
Good sponsor with a bit of luck.
Yes, of course, that is the thing, because it's strange to say in a sport like this that both the world and national points champions are both unsponsored.
Just at the moment, yeah. And the engine I'm running at the moment just isn't quick enough. We're going to have to do something in the next couple of weeks.
So, yeah, you seem to be struggling a bit here tonight. You got the 3rd place in that Grand National, but other than that, you must be disappointed with the final.
Not particularly. I went in fence early on in heat and shook myself up a bit, and I was just content to finish final.
Obviously, World Championship semi-finals are looming very high on the horizon. How do you think you're placed at the moment?
At the moment, I think I'm top at points, maybe second, so I should get a pole position. Just depends with pole where.
What about, which one would you prefer?
Prefer Aycliffe. We'll probably end up at Bellevue.
How about you, Ian? How are you placed?
I think I might be in. I don't know how far up the field, but I definitely don't want Bellevue. I just can't get round Bellevue's track.
I noticed at Aycliffe that it does seem to suit the style.
Well, it's all action, isn't it? I mean, they're all so close together, you just hit them and they go. Or they hit you and you go, you know, it depends which way, but it's nice and tight, fast and tight, that's how I like it.
It can be a bit like stock car skittles.
Something like, and I'm usually the front one.
So it's mainly a matter of keeping out of his way.
More or less. Motorised snooker, I think you described it as.
You've got the pack of the reds at the back, yeah.
That's it.
And the white one's the one that's doing the hitting.
No, not usually.
Well, that's it. That's all we have time for here at Sheffield on a wet and windy night, but some good racing. Maybe not quite so many pile-ups as we normally get here at Sheffield. Certainly most of the axles stayed on the cars here tonight. Anyway, that's it from Overton. Until next week, have a good week, and we look forward to seeing you again next week for more.